They say if you build it, they will come. And it is with that mentality that the FunSpot Atlanta team has invested millions of dollars into ArieForce One, a state-of-the-art, brand new, world-class steel coaster. It towers over the rest of the park, standing 155 feet in the air, speeds of 64 miles per hour, flipping you upside down 4 times. And it is an incredible ride. I highly recommend you go out and experience it for yourself. And if you want to hear more about that ride experience, there's already a full separate review of it on this channel. Please go give it a watch. But in this video, I want to focus on a different side of things, and that is the long-term impact of ArieForce One on FunSpot. It's no secret that this ride is a little weird being at this park. The property was only purchased by the FunSpot family a few years ago. It used to operate as Fun Junction USA. It opened in 1990, so clearly they've been doing well enough to survive for this long. They have a kiddie coaster, an E&F miler, some go-karts, and when the Arie family purchased this property, they said, we really want to beef it up, add in something special, and boom, enter ArieForce One. A ride so big, they had to put it here because there was no room at FunSpot Kissimmee or Orlando, and after experiencing it for myself, I would absolutely say this is the best ride in Georgia. So roller coaster enthusiasts are sure to go out and experience it, but will the general public make a trip out there to do it? That is the question. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of enthusiasts out there, but if they want to make a return on investment, they're going to need a lot more people than just enthusiasts to go out and ride this thing. And really, only time is going to give us the answer to that question. But until then, here's some things to think about. ArieForce One was manufactured by Rocky Mountain Construction. While their coasters tend to be not quite as expensive as other manufacturers, this is still no small investment. I haven't been able to find a rock-solid price listed for ArieForce One. I keep seeing mixed reports that it could be as low as $12 million or as high as $18 million, so likely it's somewhere in between. It's a really impressive structure that stands out like a sore thumb in this park. Nothing else here comes close to matching the quality of this ride. Most of the other rides at FunSpot Atlanta are off-the-shelf plug-and-play attractions. It makes you wonder, how are they able to afford this thing? And really the answer is in their other 2 parks in Orlando and Kissimmee, which are very profitable. You know, they're right next to Universal and Disney. They're absolutely taking some of that money and funneling it towards this attraction. I am worried about their return on investment. I went on opening day for this coaster, and the longest line it got was immediately after the opening ceremony at about 30 minutes, which for a park of this size is totally respectable. I don't see them ever getting a line that long again. I went back the next day, and it was a complete walk-on. At one point, I remember seeing only one other person on that train. The fact is, the Atlanta location just does not get the attendance that the other 2 have. Fayetteville, Georgia is not a destination like Florida is. There's no other nearby attractions here. You'd have to drive another 25 or so minutes to downtown Atlanta or 30 or so minutes to Six Flags Over Georgia. They also are at a disadvantage because they're not off of a major interstate. It's not like you're going down I-75 and you're like, oh man, there's ArieForce One, let's pull over and ride it. You have to leave the highway to go find this thing. When it was established as Fun Junction, it was very much set up to be a family entertainment center for locals. So we're seeing a shift in mentality here. The FunSpot team is banking on people making specific trips out there just to do ArieForce, which as a coaster enthusiast, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna do that. I know that I bought a FunSpot pass partially because of this ride. I don't know if I would have done that otherwise. For people who did not buy a pass, they're going to be paying $12 for one ride on ArieForce. And let's say that you have a full train, 20 riders, each one paid $12 to ride. I mean, you just made $240 off of one train, assuming that people actually did pay that price to ride it. On one of the days that I was at FunSpot Atlanta, I walked into ArieForce and they weren't even scanning wristbands. That means that essentially you could have just waltzed on in and hopped on the train for free. I'm not sure if they were just newly trained employees or they forgot, but they gotta be making sure to scan those things. Millions and millions of dollars was poured into this attraction. I would hate for them to miss out on additional income because people are taking advantage of the system. The good news is that ArieForce One is probably so good that I imagine most people would probably opt to get a wristband instead of just paying for one ride. So that way they can do it over and over again. A one-day wristband at FunSpot Atlanta is about $40, which when you say, okay, that's a little bit more than 3 rides on the coaster, plus you also get go-karts and some of the other attractions, that's pretty solid. The problem is, when it comes to theme parks, a lot of the public will just choose one to go to, and you have Six Flags Over Georgia nearby, where you can pay about the same price and get a full day experience. More roller coasters, higher quality park. I mean, granted, it probably will end up being more once you factor in like parking and paying for overpriced food, but FunSpot is not set up as a full day destination. Realistically, if you were just paying the $12, you could walk into FunSpot, ride ArieForce and leave, and you'd be done in 15 minutes. If you're staying to do all the attractions, then maybe 2-3 hours. So it's gonna be a mixed bag based off of how people spend their money. Also I'll throw in that the state of Six Flags Over Georgia will, I think, positively impact FunSpot. The public's opinion of that park can be hit or miss. They've definitely had a reputation in the past for not being the best, and that's why you'll get a lot of people to drive further away to go to a higher quality park like Dollywood or Carowinds. But I think when it comes to an attraction like this, you really have to think about it from the long-term perspective, not just right now. This is something that'll take a couple years to really pay off. But the thing is, during that time, they're also going to be spending money on maintaining it. It's a big ride. It's gonna cost a lot of money to keep up with. It's just the reality. We've never seen a ride this size at the other FunSpot parks. I hope they're not in over their heads. I like to think they'll take care of it. I mean, this is really the creme de la creme of their chain. They did go with a steel structure for this coaster instead of a wood one, which is the same as what they did on White Lightning and Mindblower. It just means less maintenance. You don't have to replace those wood boards. But steel comes with its own challenges. You still got to keep up with it. Sure, the ride is all shiny and new now, but give it a couple of years. How will it be looking? I know Mindblower is a wood coaster and not a steel coaster, but that's an example of a ride that has not aged well at all. And even with the ride just opening, I was hearing reports from some people saying that ArieForce was overshooting the brake run. Now, I have gotten confirmation that anything you've heard about that is false. Yes, the ride has been running really hot into the brakes, but nothing about the ride is out of control or out of spec. The brakes have been working as they should, and that comes directly from the CEO of Irvine Andre Engineering, who programmed the ride. And for those curious, they also confirmed they have no intentions of putting trims on the coaster. So if you thought the ending was crazy, it's gonna stay that way. But regardless, the outcome of this ride will absolutely play into whether the FunSpot team decides to go with RMC again. Both the FunSpot and RMC teams have hinted that they might be partnering up again in the future, which is great, but FunSpot's only gonna do that if ArieForce was a big success. You got a freaking awesome ride out of it, but I also can't help but wonder how many of the people here even know this place exists. I drove around Atlanta all weekend, and I did not see one billboard or sign for ArieForce One. And I feel like when you have a big coaster of this size, you should have something up there. Now, I don't know if they're running TV commercials or what their online ads look like, but I hope they market the crap out of this thing. There's a lot of people in Atlanta. The current population of the greater metro area is at over 6 million people. That's a lot of folks who are probably within an hour's drive of FunSpot. I think ArieForce One has so much potential to do wonders for this property. The next thing they need to do, though, is get people to want to stay in this park for more than just the roller coaster. They need to spend some money on infrastructure. They got that standout ride to get people to want to come out to the park, but now they have to make the place look nice. A lot of this park is kind of an eyesore, but I know there's also a balance to it. Where do you place your money? On one hand, people will probably travel to go check out a new ride, not because you installed new planters and flower beds, but once they're there, they're likely to stay longer and spend more money because the place is nice. So this is going to be a place to watch for the next couple of years, see what happens. I really wish them so much success. I'm going to put my trust in the Arie family here. I don't know them personally, but I like to think that they will have done their homework before making a big decision like this. They've been running their 2 parks in Florida for a long time. They seem like really good people, and from what I've heard, smart with their finances. So this ride really has the potential to be a big turning point for their company. So let me know down in the comments below, what do you think the impact of ArieForce One is going to be on the FunSpot parks? Do we see more RMCs there in the future, or will it not end up being the turnout they were hoping for? Post all those thoughts down in the comments below, and stay tuned for more here at Coaster Studios, and we'll see you next time.